Well, man, I love what you're doing. I'm looking forward to getting into it. So thank you for
Yeah,
taking a minute out today.
let's do it, man. I'm in, Joe.
All right, let's do it. So, first question I have for you, when we look at the calendar right now, there's probably levels of vertigo because it's mid-March. 6 years ago, this pandemic changed the world. How did you get through it, and how has it changed the way that you approach things today?
Man, Joe, I'll tell you, during the pandemic, I didn't know if our business was going to survive. So what happened is we were during that time. So prior to that, I cover a lot of conferences, in-person podcasting, appearances, speaking engagements. Like that was a big part of our revenue.
Yeah.
So after when the pandemic happened, obviously everybody's put in place, and I was self-quarantined probably a solid, I don't know, month or two before it really came to the United States and did what it was going to do. Because I do internationals, I do interviews all around the world. So I kind of already knew what was possible. I'm not saying I knew, it was going to be what it was going to be, but I knew what was possible. And I knew that if I caught that, like, and if something happened, then my company, my employees, like, it was going to be bad. Like, a big part of what we do and our revenues based off of the interviews I put out and the work I like day in and day out. I do, for some context, I do, between 40 and 50 interviews a week. So there's a lot of shows going, a lot of production. If I was down from COVID, it was going to be real bad for us. So I mean, I was self-quarantined for months in advance, and I'm just doing interviews. And I seen very few people during that entire time span. And I'm interviewing people, and at this time, this is gonna sound, this is making lemonade out of lemons, Joe. But when the NBA shut down, like everything in the world changed. For, I would argue, myself and Mission Matters. I'm like, oh my gosh, all of a sudden I'm the cool game in town because nothing else is on TV. Like
Yeah.
there was a period in time, it was like a week, maybe it was a couple weeks where there was no new content coming out really. They didn't know what was going on. Like the sports, NBA shut down. People are looking for things, they're scrolling around social media, other things. But my factory, because we'd already been doing it in virtually, I was still pumping the content out like nothing ever happened.
Yeah.
So it flipped and it was like, holy smokes, Joe, all of a sudden a podcasting guy is kind of popular. I'm like,
Uh-huh.
okay. So that was funny and okay. But then the second thing was the people that were coming on the show were at home and bored. So they're like, they started asking questions like, hey, so I finished an interview like the one we're doing, Joe, and they'd be like, hey, can you help me start a podcast? And I'd be like, well, at first I said no, but then I'm like, wait a minute, I got my team, we got bench time, like, because I'm not traveling. So our production's not what it normally is.
Yeah.
So I want to keep everybody employed. We didn't lay a single person off during that time. But that being said, we started launching shows, man. And fast forward, we've launched now over 250 shows, and that's a thriving part of our business is helping other people launch podcasts. Never planned, really. It was like we could do it, and we did it a little bit, but not like what happened after the pandemic. So we didn't only survive, we pivoted in multiple products, and we thrived like at the other end of it. So some things worked in our favor, something obviously didn't, like the human toll and everything else like that. Like
Yeah.
unfortunately, I lost an uncle. I lost more than one person, but my uncle, my mom's brother, and like it was not an easy situation. But in the business side of things, it ended up, on the other end of it, it's like there was light at the end of the tunnel. And I like to feel that as an organization, like what I just described, I was interviewing people all, you said, I believe you're in Kansas. I was interviewing people all around the country that were doing their version of the same thing.
Yeah.
Factories that all of a sudden were doing like the PPE and then that changed all their production to now other things. So I feel like our show had this like thread of the heartland and all of America really, and the resiliency, and because of that, I just think it took us to another level in terms of connection with the audience and the crowd.
Yeah, for sure. So let's get into all the parts and pieces of your daily job. I'm going to put you in front of 13-year-olds. It's career day. And the kid in the back of the room is like, what do you do for a living? How do you answer
I,
them?
I Joe, I get paid to do interviews. I ask questions. I'm not a business expert. I didn't. If you're that kid in the back of the room and you got a 2.5, 2.6, then we're brothers. All right. If you got a 4.0, maybe I'm gonna be the kid with the 2.6 is one day gonna be asking you questions. We ask questions to you right now in class, like, hey, what'd you get on that answer at homework? Well, when you grow up one day, if you have those same questions for that 4.0 kid, you might get paid a lot of money to ask it. So
Yeah.
we ask questions. I get paid to do interviews, Joe.
So, what did you want to be as a kid? What was your dream job?
I was not, let's see if I have to go way back when, original dream job. Um, oh, pilot. It would have been pilot. It
Okay.
was original dream job. Yeah, I just thought I wanted to go in the military, do that kind of thing. I just always thought it'd be amazing to be able to fly planes. That didn't happen. And military or flying or any of that, but that would have been the youngest. If you're taking me back to like really, really young, that'd be
Yeah.
it. Then architect, and then from architect it transitioned to a politician. I think that was the last one, and that's what I went to school for. I went to international relations, and that's what I where I ended up, which I didn't end up going that route, but yeah, that was the last one.
So, how did we get here? Take me back to your beginnings. What were the things that were imbued in you that made you a good interviewer, that got into this new media
Yeah.
podcasting, the entrepreneur? How did this happen?
I'll tell you in retrospect, I did not know this at the time. So I don't know. Sometimes I feel like God has us doing certain things and we don't know how that whole Steve Jobs thing's about. You have to like connect the dots going backwards and you don't know what's going on. So here's the funny part. So I was under my own form of, I'll say Gethsemane, obviously not making light of the term, but I had my own olive press of being in finance. And what was interesting in finance is I do some things. I'll give one quick story. I remember, so I started my career in finance after, well, technically I started when I was 16 at Raymond James and Associates in their IRA department in Michigan. During high school, I only went to school, a couple hours a day, and then I went to the firm, worked, and graduated, got my degree from college, all that good stuff. But fast forward a bit, and when I was kind of early in my career, I started in a call centers, and in terms of in finance, I was working for like the big companies, like the Vanguards, the Schwabs of the world, and I was in the call centers. You call, I pick up the phone and help you with your investments. But in retrospect, and this is what the crazy part is I used to work like these insane hours. So I remember working like that, like during tax season, you had unlimited overtime, and this is back in the day. I don't know if it's still like this, of course, but you had like unlimited overtime. So I remember like tripling my salary, and I was number one in the company, like I mean on the entire platform. And Schwab, it's a couple $1 trillion company,
Yeah.
and I was just like, and I didn't know what I was doing, just making money. I was just having conversations though, just like we are right now, with every type of person you could possibly imagine. And this is the part where it's like, okay, a lot of people have done that, which I respect, by the way, and shout out to all the people out there at Schwab and Vanguard that pick up the phone, because when I call, I love when hearing a friendly voice.
Yeah.
But what was interesting or slightly different to the way I approached it was that, especially when it was unlimited, man, I'd work these insane hours. I mean, again, tripling my salary. I mean, at one point, they made a rule where you had to have, and it's probably always was a rule, that you had to come in, you had to have at least 8 hours in between a shift. Like think about that for a moment. How many hours I was pushing, and I still push those hours, by the way. So I had a 2 20-hour days last week. So
Yeah.
that being said, but picture this though. You're on the phone and everything's tracked and every single conversation is recorded and you're responsible for every single word that comes out of your mouth, much like a podcast. It's absolutely amazing. Only in retrospect did I realize that. So I'm pulling like 15, 16, 17-hour days where, this is call center environment. So you're getting a break every 4 hours or whatever the thing was. You get your lunch 30 minutes. So I have this like extreme schedule that was insane. And I did it for years.
Yeah.
And what it did is in retrospect, it rewired my brain to where I'm just built different. Like me
Yeah.
doing 40 to 50 interviews a week right now, that's like part time. Like my record is 91 interviews in a week for the record, and I was pushing 70 plus interviews for years.
Wow.
So then that's how I'm approaching 7,000 interviews. But it all goes back to the like I was wired for it through
Totally.
those years of like putting myself through that, and frankly enjoying it. By the way, I had a ball. Like the company was great, the clients were great. I was having every type of thing where I'm talking to wealthy, high net worth individuals. I got promotions every year or two. So I'm talking with literally the people that are running the world and investing in these top companies, and I'm having these amazing conversations. Now I like to say I'm an overglorified call center employee when I'm doing this. I'm just having conversations with the same people just now, and they were being recorded then, they're being recorded now. My
Uh-huh.
manager, back then could have listened to him. Nowadays, the world listens to him. It's the same thing, though. I'm
Yeah.
still responsible for every single word that comes out of my mouth. I still, back then, I had more answers, at least on the investing side. Now I don't even have to have answers.
That's awesome.
I just have to have questions.
That's it. Yeah. So
Mhm.
let me ask you this. Who's been that inspirational force, that hero that's allowed you
Yeah.
to find your place that you're in right now to evolve to this point?
I get my inspiration from many times from people. Some people learn from one-on-one, like mentorship, from talking to people. Some people learn from watching things. I get my inspiration and my knowledge from books. I've always been that way. So, for example, when I was in finance, I probably read, I don't know, 10,000 plus pages in order to get all my licenses, my Series 7, 6, 63, all that other good stuff. In the entertainment business, I get it from books and from stories of the past. So I read and listened to, the Johnny Carson biographies, Larry King's biography, Jay Leno, like David Letterman, like you name it. If there's a book, I go all the way back to Red Skelton, like going back to like the vaudeville days. I go back as far as I can. Don Rickles, like I go to all the greats, Dean Martin, like all of them. And I like to study what everybody's done because the cool part about entertainment is that all the celebrities have books. All the people that have ever, if they have somebody sat behind a microphone and has a meaningful catalog, there's a biography about him.
Yep.
Larry King's a big inspiration in the way that his style of interviewing and other things. Like I love what he did. So if Larry King, and this is kind of where I found my niche, if you will. So let's say that Larry King's dream interview, according to his biographies, according to the things I've read, is that he would show up to an interview and he doesn't know anything about the other person. The less he knows, the better, because he didn't use these words, but I've taken this from what he's done in his process, but he was really an active learner. He would learn real time while he was talking, and his accumulation of already prior knowledge plus learning from the guest in front of him made it special, and it let the audience lean into what he was doing. And he was the everyday's guy. Like if you didn't know who that person was and you need to be educated at him, he's learning with you.
Yep.
So that's one end of the spectrum. The other end of the spectrum would be, let's say, like Howard Stern or Oprah. Like Oprah knows what you have for breakfast before you came on her show. Her squad is not letting it's a huge brand, huge name. Like anything, any question, anything, like he knows everything. Howard Stern prides himself on asking you a question that he didn't think that you didn't think he would ask you because his research is so tight. Like he prides himself like it, and it's not stumping people, but if for he wants you to have that pause, like how do you know that, or how do you even know to ask that question? In order to get to that point, his team and his squad of interviewing is so freaking, our research is so freaking tight to get to that point. It's insane. So he's not going into an interview not knowing who you are, put it that way.
Yeah.
Me, I'm like kind of in the middle. Like I want to know some things, like I don't want to be like completely like ignorant, but on the other side, like I want to learn real time. Even if you are famous, even if you are a figure, like I want to know real time because I feel like it's always the host, and the host is going to pull something different out of the same out of different people, even if they ask the same exact question that somebody else asked. Like I believe that I get a different answer. I think my energy is different, and everybody's energy is different, but I just mean I feel like the answers I'm given are going to be different.
Do you remember the first interview you had where you walked away and you were like, you just needed a minute to catch your breath? Like it was an amazing interview, whether it was the person or it was the conversation. Do you
Mhm.
remember that early moment where the adrenaline just went
Man,
overboard?
I have one of those every single day. That no, that's the beauty of it.
Yeah,
I'm not even joking. I
yeah, I
talked to
get it.
this guy. I have the privilege of I circle the world maybe 2 to 3 times a day. Like so today I have at least 10 interviews on the agenda. And so I'll give you the last one I remember, which I don't know, this might have been Friday. This might have been like it's
Yeah,
Monday when we're recording this. But I was talking to this gentleman. He's talking about the he's doing a lot of work in Africa, and he's talking about like the energy crisis. Kind of like he didn't use these words, but that's what he's alluding to. It's kind of being solved. So meaning, and this is where my head goes and it spins like for days, is like now they have it solved, or his company and like the World Bank and some other things, to where you can get electricity to these homes for less than $1 a month. So now when you think about like that, like it's not money anymore. Now it's just process, it's infrastructure, it's education, it's a lot of other things. But then you think juxtapose that to the United States in our early days when electricity was first like being distributed throughout the country. And what did that mean? That meant we could study later. That meant we could learn later. That meant that we didn't have to be in the farms quite so long, or vice versa, we could stay in the farm another couple outside another couple of hours because we didn't have to run inside to cook by before like the sun went down, and so that we'd have a meal. That meant that more people in the household could work. That meant that so it like unlocked all of this potential in the United States. So that gives me pause. It blows my freaking mind. I'm
Yeah.
thinking like, wow, as far along as we are, there's other, cultures, other areas that haven't benefited from some of the things that we've had in innovations even today. And as they do, something as vital as I would say for the United States and for other development as electricity blows my freaking mind, man.
Yeah.
That's just one.
Yeah. No, I get it. I totally get it. So,
Mhm.
what have you learned about yourself over this process of getting into other people's stories and being a torchbearer for these stories? What have you learned about being on this planet? We're always looking for meaning.
Mm.
What's been the big takeaway?
I think that I have a question that I want to ask. I have a guest that he's coming. I've been chasing him for a couple years, but I think that calling is important. I think that calling is important in recognizing your calling and kind of walking in your calling and in your faith. Like I think it's just important. I see people that, sometimes get distracted or not, and it's like when somebody really decides where they want to be, and I don't mean, by the way, money. I'm not talking about like raising the going up the pyramid or the corporate ladder or any of
Yeah.
that stuff. I'm not even talking about that. I'm just talking about your calling, like whatever you feel you're meant to be on this earth doing, and that brings you satisfaction. Like I think it's important. I think it's important that when you have that feeling to go towards it and not away.
So, if you had a dream tonight, ran into a 18-year-old version of you, and you walked up, and that young version of you had a film projector next to you, and you hit play, and you saw a 60-second highlight reel of this life you've lived and orchestrated, would that young version of you believe it turned out this way?
No, I didn't well, first that person doesn't even know about podcasting.
Right.
Second, second,
Yeah.
second, I never thought I'd be in front of camera. Never wanted to. Like I was a financial advisor, so I was one of the people that moved to LA not to pursue entertainment, but to manage money.
Yeah.
So I came here just to be in a bigger market. So no, that 18-year-old wouldn't even recognize it. They'd be like, what the heck are you doing? You're asking people questions? Like, what are you doing? That's crazy.
What's the first podcast you got addicted to? The one that you loved and you just wanted to consume it over and over?
I'm a little bit different on that one, and
Okay.
I don't listen to really. I don't like to be affected by what other people are doing.
Gotcha.
So I actually, and I don't think that doesn't work for everybody. Like that's not everybody's process. Like and I like to say it like a painter. Like some painters, they go out and they maybe go to art school. They do other things. They really educate themselves on painting. And why? Because they want to be the best. And they go to all the great schools. They spend endless time in museums looking at paintings, other things like that. And then there's those that just pick up a paintbrush and they're doing what they do. And I'm not saying that those people will ever be the greats, and I'm not saying that they're like, you know what I mean? I'm not even comparing it to that, but that's what I do. Like I don't really want to be affected by other people what other people are doing
Yeah.
because for me, I feel that what I'm putting out, part of it is inventive. It's different. It's not nobody else is doing. I'll give you one quick example. Right now, what I'm doing, so I'm already pulling out and again approaching 7,000 shows, or excuse me, 7,000 interviews. Now what I'm doing is I've gotten so much. I get a lot of other podcasters and other people that they want to create. They want to co-collaborate, and I'm like, all right. So now I'm co-hosting shows with other podcasters and other novices that want to learn and that want to go further along, and I'm helping trying to give people back what I've learned over time. So completely inventive. I've never heard another person
Yeah.
doing that. Normally, what people do when they reach any level of, not saying I'm a huge, the biggest, whatever podcaster, but I'm not, I'm a little bit comfortable than I was in the beginning. And normally, what you do at this point in your career is you double down on your marketing. You make sure more people know who you are. You kind of try to go the celebrity route, and you just keep on, hey, I'm Adam, I'm Adam, I'm Adam. You know what I mean? For me, I'm like that's who cares? Like I don't
Right.
even like. So I'm like, hey. So then when people started asking me, I'm like, let's do a show together, and they're like, what? And so I'm like, yeah, let's do a show together. Let's figure it out. This will be fun.
Yeah.
And so like nobody does that.
Right.
So that's like if I just play on my own model on that. I just kind of pray on it and go where I think my heart is. And that's it.
Yeah. No, I totally get it. So let me ask you this.
Mhm.
At the end of the day, everyone has a perception of you, family, friends, fans, everyone that's on your show, but you run the show. What's your perception of you? Who do you think you are?
Curious, just a curious guy that's on a train, and there's a lot of momentum. Is you can't really get off. It's kind of hard to get off. Like it's not. I'm not. I know that some people may hear numbers and this and that. Think, man, this guy's disciplined, or man, this guy's done this or that. And I'm like, nope. I'm like, I have systems in place. I woke up. I'm like, I don't want to do it. I might not even want to do interviews today, but I show up. I
Yeah.
just show up. That's it. I got to show up because why? They're on the calendar, and I have that responsibility to my team. I got that responsibility to their families when they took this job. I have the responsibility to my audience who expects the content. So, just a guy that asks a lot of questions. That's on a real fast moving train that that it doesn't really stop as the momentum goes faster, and we'll see.
Yeah, I dig it. So, I'm not speaking about celebrity here, but just in general, if you could
hmm
interview anybody alive on the planet right now, who'd you love to talk to?
Um, Let's see, who would be an interesting interview? Let's see, who popped into my head first? I like to talk to Steve Harvey. Steve Harvey's a good guy. I feel
Yeah,
like he's got a lot of life experiences.
yeah.
And I think he would be interesting to just chop it up with. I think he'd be fun.
Is there anybody out there that would frighten you a little bit? Or would you just go to toe to
Howard
toe with him?
Stern. Howard Stern. No, I
Okay.
wouldn't. I wouldn't. Nah, that boy is. He's had so many conversations. No, and he's passed. I've read all his biographies, and I see his new content, and he's obviously past his like raunchy days of like randomness, and he
Yeah,
doesn't call him that or whatever. But I guess raunchy wouldn't be the word. It'd be like shock jock. Like he's
sure.
past the shock part of it. He is the king of media for sure.
Yeah,
But that boy, like just to that, he's on another level. Like
yeah,
he's just lived that thing like for so long
yeah,
that if you think about like who reads who better, like I mean
yeah,
he's the ultimate, I
yeah.
think.
Oh, I agree. I agree. So
Mm.
if you can get to a
Now that
time,
Larry King's not around, by the way, so living that'd be the yeah.
100, yeah, no, that would be amazing. So if you could get into a time machine and go back in time and see one event in human history, what would you want to see with your own eyes?
I think it would have been crazy to see that Elvis broadcast. Like that's the first thing that comes to my head. To think about like connecting to a billion people. Like I just seen the movie recently, so that might be why it's top of mind.
Uh-huh.
I just rewatched the movie recently, I should say, so that might be why it's top of mind. But I just think the planet being connected to, whether those are real numbers or not, who knows, but to be connected to like a billion people back then,
Yeah.
be crazy. Be
Yeah.
absolutely insane.
Yeah. It would be
Like by
great.
satellite, can you imagine? Like we're
Oh,
thinking about like a concert, like that'd be the sickest thing ever back then. Like I just can't even imagine like what that level of connectivity would look like for the planet.
yeah.
And to be around when that happened, like what does it feel like the next day?
Uh-huh. Yeah, totally. So if anyone wants to dive into any and everything in your world, where do they go?
Easiest is super simple. Ask Adam Torres on Instagram. If you go on there too, I have a link to my newest book, 1 Billion Podcast, completely free. Like people can download it 100% free. The number 1 Billion Podcast, and you could get that at the website, the number 1billionpodcast.com.
Okay, I will put that link in the show notes. Man, you are an absolute pro, man. Adam, this has been an absolute honor. Thank you, sir. Thank you for taking a minute out. I appreciate it.
Appreciate all you're doing, Joe. Keep it going, man.
Sir, let's do it. I love it.